the work, in fact, is of interest. Why? Because, as all of us know, with climate change now, we have a lot of evolution concerning the berry composition to do the wine, especially, of course, sugar are increasing during maturation, organic acid are decreasing, and so we have a modification of the balance concern and the stability generally of must, but also of wine at the end. And so actually, there is several types of acids that we can use to do the wine. So in the OIV practical enological codex, you have the code, you have in must tartaric, malic, and lactic acids that you can use. In wine, you can use tartaric, malic, lactic, and citric acid. And actually, fumaric acid is not authorized. There is, of course, some work that we are doing to push, to try to advance, to have also fumaric acid on the list. For this functionality, that is, of course, acidification. You can see the evolution of pH and acidity. This is Languedoc wine, so it's not so far off here, as you know. So you can see here the level here concerning the evolution of the pH that was going from 3.5 to 3.75 for vintages between 1984 and 2018. So you can see that the increase is really quite high. And you have, for example, here the same thing, but also for Australia. You have here red wine with an evolution from 3.42 to 3.62, so 0.2 concerning increase. And in white wine also, it's from 3.221 to 3.31. So this is the reality, and so we have to, of course, find or try to find solution about this. Alors, why fumaric acid? Because fumaric acid, in fact, is already used actually in the United States, but also in New Zealand. It could be a good candidate for pH adjustment of must and wine. It has acidifying power that is very important, and also bacteriostatic properties. The impact concerning fumaric acid on lactic acid bacteria has been the subject of some publication. And on the other hand, we have a few data, a few scientific elements concerning the chemical and sensory consequences of the acidification of wine by fumaric acid. So in the study that I will be showing you now, we want to know about the addition of this acid, especially on must and wine, and the impact on the color, on the phenolic compounds, and the organoleptic quality of the product. So you have here, I don't know why we have this, but well, anyway, so there is actually some microbial activity that can be, of course, changed and decreased strongly or inhibit by fumaric acid, and OIV has authorized, in fact, fumaric acid for acidification. So do you know why we have this element here? Yes, because this is very strange. Yes. And yes, so this was just, in fact, the enological code, you know, with fumaric acid authorization. So actually, just to say the principal element about it, fumaric acid is authorized by the OIV only to do the inhibition of malolactic fermentation, and you have to use between 300 and 600 milligrams by liter of this acid. This is actually what is authorized with fumaric acid. And so we know about the way it is working. There is a mechanism of intracellular dissociation and a release of proton that permit, in fact, this activity to inhibit, in fact, the different cell. And so you can see here, so to inhibit malolactic fermentation, you need between 300 and 600 milligrams by liter, and you have already some effect around 150 milligrams by liter. If you want to have the same effect, you need to have a level of lactic acid, for example, of 4 grams by liter. That is already quite high for some of the red wine, of course. So this is a paper from Antonio Morata that did an excellent work concerning the use of fumaric acid to control the pH and inhibit malolactic fermentation. And so you can see the comparison between sulfur dioxide use, in fact, and the fumaric acid, and you can obtain exactly the same results to inhibit the malolactic fermentation with this level of 300 and 600 milligrams by liter. You have an effect that is really very nice, generally, because you can see that with a high concentration of fumaric acid and with a high quantity, in fact, of cell, so you can inhibit malolactic fermentation around in 2 days, approximately, so it can be really very quick. So it's very interesting if you want to keep some acidity and if you want to inhibit malolactic fermentation to keep malic acid, in fact, finally in the wine. Okay, so concerning the different acid characteristic that we can use, you can see here, in fact, that they are different. So you have here all the formula. What is changing? The number of carboxylic acid group, in fact, for tartaric acid you have 2, malic acid 2, lactic acid 1, citric acid has 3, and fumaric acid has 2. But fumaric acid, in fact, has a double bond that is here, as you can see. And this is something that changed probably, in fact, the property of fumaric acid. Concerning the molecular weight, you can see that fumaric acid is intermediary, around 116 grams by mole. In comparison, tartaric acid is highest, malic acid also, and so lactic acid, of course, is lower. And so what is also interesting to see is equivalence, in fact, in comparison with tartaric acid. So with tartaric acid, for 1 gram of tartaric acid, you need only 0.77 grams of fumaric acid. So this is interesting because it means that probably if you are using an amount of fumaric acid that is lower, you can obtain probably the same effect than tartaric acid. And this is something, of course, of interest. Alors c'est bloqué de nouveau. So what are, if we do the comparison between both acids, the different points. So tartaric acid is highly interesting for acidifying power. Fumaric acid also is a very high in acidifying power with around 30% less of quantity to add. Stability, solubility, it's very high in tartaric acid, 900 grams by liter in red wine, but it looks low, in fact, for fumaric acid. It's only around 9 grams by liter. So concerning stability, you can have precipitation at storage concerning tartaric acid, and you have no precipitation with fumarate or fumaric acid. Concerning microbiological impact, tartaric acid has no impact, but fumaric acid has bacteriostatic properties. And if you look at the price, what is interesting to see is that the price of fumaric is lower than the price of tartaric acid. The estimation by ton is around 3,000, 5,000 US dollars for tartaric, and it is around 1,500 or 3,000 US dollars by ton for fumaric. So that's, of course, also economically something to consider. So in this case, it can be of interest, and it can be probably an alternative in comparison with the other acid, because this possesses this high acidifying power and the cost and also an availability. So in our work, we have been considering, in fact, physico-chemical property, solubility and pH change, chemical impact concerning color, phenolic compounds, threshold in model solution and wine, and comparison between acid, triangular test, and profile. We have been working with different levels of ethanol, so water, of course, alone, but also ethanol, 10%, 12%, 14, 16. Model solution is ethanol at 12%, tartaric acid at 4 grams by liter and a pH of 4. This is what we call an hydroalcoholic matrix, in fact, to reproduce, in fact, the wine matrix. For must, we work with Cabernet Sauvignon and Semillon. One is a red and the other one is a white. And for wine, we were working with Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc, and also Merlot. Alors, you can see here, in fact, the different solubility for all these solutions, and you have the comparison here. And so you can see, of course, that in water and must, fumaric acid solubility is 150 to 230-fold lower than other acids solubility. And in fact, in ethanol, fumaric acid solubility is, I don't know, it's very strange.
Is it possible to reduce the noise, please? Well, she's working on that.
Yes, so the fumaric acid solubility in ethanol is between 120 and 165-fold lower than other acid. And the solubility in wine, this is also the point that is interesting. You can see that there is a reduction, in fact, in function of the different matrix. So finally, it's only 65 to 115-fold lower than other acid when you are in wine. So it means that more or less you can have around, you can see here, between 9 to 15 grams by liter of solubility in the wine. And, but we don't need so much acid, in fact, to do the acidification, generally. Alors, we have been also looking for all these products, addition of different concentration, 1, 2, 3, 4 grams by liter of acid in each type of product. So water, must, Cabernet Sauvignon must, Semillon must, in the hydroalcoholic solution with pH 4, in wine, Cabernet Sauvignon, at an initial pH of 4, and Sauvignon Blanc wine at pH 4. And what is interesting to see is that in the must, the addition, in fact, of fumaric acid with, for the same quantity give a pH decrease highest than all the other acids, as you can see. It's always upper. Here, 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 and here. So you can see here that finally this fumaric acid is at the same concentration than the other acid more efficient to decrease finally the pH, and so finally to permit to gain acidity. So that's a very interesting point here. Voilà. So if we are looking finally this difference to lower different level of pH, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, you have here the effect of the fumaric acid, in fact, in function of the acid concentration. And so with lower acid concentration, so you obtain a good linear correlation in must for Cabernet Sauvignon, in wine for Cabernet Sauvignon, and in wine for Sauvignon Blanc, for example. And so finally, we have a table here, a modeling, if you prefer, showing that to decrease or to lower the pH of 0.1, the quantity you need of each acid. And so you need for fumaric acid only in model solution 0.17, in must 0.29, in Semillon must here, so 0.24, in Cabernet Sauvignon wine 0.2, and in Merlot wine, so 0.22. And Sauvignon Blanc, the same. So if we do the comparison with all the other acids, tartaric acid, malic acid, for example, so you can finally decrease about 32 to 45% the quantity of fumaric acid to add in comparison with tartaric acid to lower the pH of 0.1 unit. So that is something very interesting, probably for enology. So we were continuing the work with different chemical impacts. So you can see, of course, one control of the Cabernet Sauvignon, Sauvignon Blanc, and Merlot. So we have been using for comparison a mineral acid, chlorhydric acid, then fumaric acid, tartaric acid, and malic acid. And we were looking, in fact, the effect at different time. So, of course, time 0, so after 1 day, after 1 month, after 2 months, 30 days, 60 days. And in fact, we were adding all the acids that you can see, tartaric acid, malic acid, or fumaric acid, to lower the pH of 0.3 in all these products. And so we were looking the evolution, in fact, of classical analysis, color and total phenolic acid, CIELAB parameter, and so HPLC analysis for molecular anthocyanin, molecular tannins, including also the mean degree of polymerization. If you look the effect concerning tetravol acidity, you can see here the effect on Sauvignon Blanc wine and also Cabernet Sauvignon wine for the different acids, fumaric, tartaric, and malic, and also the mineral acid. And so you have, in fact, the wines that are acidified by fumaric, tartaric are similar or equal in terms of pH. And so the statistical analysis have been showing that tetravol acidity in Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc wine depend on acid addition, but is not impacted, in fact, by the time. So I don't show you all the kinetic on this draft, but it doesn't change. You have approximately the same value. What is interesting in terms of color is to see, in fact, that the evolution in Cabernet Sauvignon, in fact, for color intensity, and Sauvignon Blanc, its absorbance at 420 nanometers. You can see that globally for red Cabernet Sauvignon wine, you have only a time effect color. You see that at 13 days, of course, you win a little bit, at 17 days also. And for white Sauvignon Blanc, so you have the effect of time that is arriving, and also the acid addition interaction of both factors. As you can see, there is some differences between, in fact, the acid after 2 months, but globally you have the same behavior of fumaric acid and control wine for color parameter. And that's, in fact, what is interesting. Concerning phenolic compounds, there is, in fact, if you see here the evolution, here you can show, we can show a Sauvignon Blanc wine. There is no impact of acid addition on in Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc wine for the falling color index. So no impact of acid addition on total anthocyanin and molecular anthocyanin in Cabernet Sauvignon wine. So we have only a time effect, in fact. And so finally, the impact of fumaric acid addition on total phenol content in the Sauvignon Blanc wine, you can see that is really a little slightly different here. So this is after 2 months, but with not so much difference. Concerning organoleptic impact, we have been looking the acid dissection threshold in water, in ethanol solution at 12%, and in wine, Cabernet Sauvignon, Sauvignon Blanc, and Merlot. We did triangle test and sensory profile. So triangle test, in fact, highlight possible difference between fumaric acid and other acid in water, and 12% hydroalcoholic solution and wine. And in sensory profile, we can find sometimes descriptors like sour, bitter, astringent, freshness, citrus in wine. So it depends after, of course, the concentration. And so gustative threshold and organoleptic impact of fumaric acid addition on wine has been compared with other organic acid. We obtain what we call the best estimated threshold. And so what we can see here is that in water and 12% ethanol, fumaric acid has the lowest threshold generally. So you can see here 35 for the BOT, for ethanol 78, ethanol 12%. In Cabernet Sauvignon wine 987, and in Sauvignon Blanc 1,275. And so in wine, Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc, fumaric acid has intermediary threshold in comparison with tartaric acid that you can see, for example, here. It is highest in water, highest in ethanol, a little bit decreasing here for the Cabernet Sauvignon wine, and also in Sauvignon Blanc wine. And with citric acid, you can see, for example, that is highest generally. The same for malic acid globally, and so lactic acid is a little bit different. When we do the sensory analysis and the triangle test in Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc, you can see that the number of judge is enough important in the panel. So all wine with added acid were perceived different from control wine, except for fumaric acid in Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc wine. So this is what we get here for Cabernet Sauvignon and Sauvignon Blanc. And so you can see here the number of judges that can found change. And so Cabernet Sauvignon wine with fumaric acid, tartaric acid, and citric acid were not perceived different. We had the same result for Sauvignon Blanc with fumaric acid, tartaric acid, and malic acid. And so you can see also here that you have some parts that are different. Alors, concerning organoleptic impact on wine, so Cabernet Sauvignon with fumaric acid, tartaric acid, and citric acid were not perceived different. So you can see with the color, in fact, the potential change for freshness, citrus perception, bitterness, astringency, or sourness. And so you can see that there is not so big difference. A little bit more freshness, but it's not significant. Citrus, bitterness, it's really in the same level. And sourness, that is more you see here with lactic acid, also malic acid, notably. So all gustative profiles were similar. So finally, for this first part of work, we can conclude that fumaric acid had low solubility compared to other acids. It is more efficient than other acids in pH diminution, with the use of more than 30% less than tartaric acid to 0.1 pH unit. And it has an highest acidifying power and slightly affect wine chemistry and organoleptic quality. So detection thresholds in water are similar to tartaric acid. Fumaric acid seems to be a good candidate for an economic alternative to wine acidification. And so we should adjust the appropriate step to add this acid during winemaking. There is an interest to use in must and also in wine. And possibly can help also to reduce the quantity of sulfur dioxide that we are using because of this acidifying power. Alors, a second work that we did is concerning, in fact, addition of fumaric acid in red wine at bottling. We take the acid, we put it in the bottle, and we follow the bottle, in fact. And so we had in this experiment a sulfite-free Cabernet Sauvignon wine. So one part was without sulfite and another part was sulfited. And so you can see here that we have a control, then tartaric acid addition of 1.25 gram by liter. Then we double the quantity, 2.5 gram by liter for tartaric acid. And the same with fumaric acid, 1 gram by liter and 2 gram by liter. And you have exactly the same concentration of acids for the part that is sulfited, then the bottling. And we have been looking for 2 years, in fact, what was happening in this wine. Each 6 months, as you can see. Month 6, month 12, and so the month 24. And we have been looking, of course, pH, acidity, the color parameter, phenolic compounds, including polyphenol index, Folensiocalte, tannins, anthocyanins, generally, and sensory. And so you can see here the evolution for pH and total acidity. So NS is a non-sulfated wine, and S is sulfated wine. So you can see the pH. So finally, for the sulfated modality, we have a greater pH decrease for wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter and a significantly higher total acidity than the controlled wine. And for the part that is sulfate-free wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter, you have a higher pH and a lower titrable acidity. So that's, in fact, the 2 parts that you can see here, and it's quite interesting. If we look for color parameter, in fact, you have here the parameter L, A, and B of the CIELAB. And so for sulfate-free modality, you have a higher B value and darker wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter. A lower A value for both control and wines with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter. And for the product with sulfated wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter, they are very close to the sulfated control wine, so with a non-sulfated. And for both of wine, as you can see here, you have with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter the closest of the sulfated control wine, and that's what is interesting. Another point is also the delta E. You know that it's the difference between both wines that you can see with the naked eye. And so with fumaric acid, you can see the value here for sulfated is finally the lowest in comparison with tartaric. And so you can see here that in comparison with tartaric, fumaric acid is also a little bit lowest. So at least here for the first non-sulfated wine, the value can be highest, but we can understand wine, because in sulfated wine, of course, there is probably more combination, also some oxygen, probably. Concerning color intensity and the hue, so for sulfate-free wine, significant higher color intensity for the control wine and wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter, and more purple hue for wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter has been found. And for sulfated wine, higher color intensity for wine with tartaric acid at 2.5 grams by liter, and wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter has a very slow, significantly hue than the control wine. Voilà, you can see here the C, that is a little, well, it's really a few different. Here you can see that it's same as the control. So that's also one result. Concerning total phenol index, you can see that it shows a significant difference between the sulfited wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter that has a higher index and the sulfited control wine. In comparison. And the sulfited wine with tartaric acid at 2.5. So you can see here it's B, and here it's the same. For sulfited wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter, you have a higher Colenso-Cal2 index than wine with tartaric acid. And so you can see a difference here. So you have a little bit more in fumaric acid too. But here you have A, and here with tartaric acid you can see that you have a B. If we look for tannins, this is becoming interesting. Why? Because you have, in fact, for sulfite-free wine here, a level of tannin that is the same as the control. In comparison, you see here it is decreasing for the non-sulfited wine. So, significantly different from the sulfite-free wine with tartaric acid at 2.5 grams per liter. And so you have a decrease, an higher concentration of 36%. And you have no significant difference for sulfite wine, in fact, as you can see. So why we have this difference? Probably because there is a different type of combination to look for. We can confirm with molecular tannin compounds. You can see here sulfite-free wine and here fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter significantly different from the sulfite-free control. So you have a better preservation here of proanthocyanidin, monomer and dimer. And a slight difference highlighted for sulfited wine. In fact, here you can see there is not so much difference. The values are really very similar. For anthocyanin, the concentration is not impacted by the addition of acid, so you can see that it's the same in the two cases. In the composition of anthocyanin, glucosylated, acetylated, fumarolated, that are specific type of compounds that you can see here. They have different, different form that you can see. So in fact, acidified wine show higher concentration of anthocyanin compared to their respective control. So you can see here that this part here is highest. That's interesting. And the same here for the sulfited wine. So for sulfite-free wine with fumaric acid at 2 grams by liter, you have also this better concentration in anthocyanin than the other acidified wine. And so finally, for the wine sulfited, so with fumaric acid, we have significantly higher than the wine with tartaric acid. So finally, preservation of anthocyanin is probably better with fumaric acid, in fact, than with tartaric acid. And this is also something that can be of interest. If we look sensory analysis, so you have the perceived acidity at 24 months for Cabernet Sauvignon wine. And so what has been found that it is that you have here the non-sulfited and the sulfited. So you can see that fumaric acid in the both cases give a higher perceived acidity at 2 grams by liter for both sulfite-free and sulfited wine. But the judge found also some oxidation. And you can see here that the oxidation was highest with tartaric acid in non-sulfited wine. And so you have here the ranking. So you can see that with fumaric acid, the ranking is quite good, 68. Very close of tartaric acid at 2.5 grams by liter for the sulfited wine. And it is better, in fact, in the non-sulfited wine than finally tartaric acid. And that is also interesting as a result. Voilà, so to conclude finally, So we have significant results here where we found many properties. We have clear difference between the impact of fumaric acid addition of red wine compared to tartaric acid, with a better impact probably of this fumaric acid. There is a potential protection of tannin and anthocyanin from fumaric acid addition without damaging the sensory property of the wine. And so we are working now on polymerized pigment analysis to better understand the impact of this addition of fumaric acid on polyphenolic compounds. So to see if there is specific combination between fumaric acid and some of the tannins or some of the anthocyanins. And so finally, fumaric acid addition at bottling and the impact on white wine is also studied. So it's more effective than other acid in pH diminution. The detection threshold in water is similar to tartaric acid. No difference between tartaric acid and fumaric acid for the color parameter. Better anthocyan preservation after 2 years. Good sensory result on wine acidity impact after 2 years. Better acidity and freshness perception for fumaric acid in sensory analysis globally. And so I thank you for your attention.